Is therefore closed.
This is probably the biggest advert for South Africa and Africa that I've ever seen in my 40 years reporting. The positivity in terms of the messaging that has come out of this conference is something that you cannot buy. The positive story of Africa's economic upturn, whether you're looking at the 13 fastest growing countries in the world being of African origin, is a story that you cannot tell to a larger platform. So for me, I think what this conference has done is to firmly place Africa on the map. And I think not only that, place Africa on the map with a positive message that I think has not resonated as much as this has done.
South Africa has tried to pull in all African countries during the discussions and preparation of the G20. There have been multiple task forces on education, on AI, on development, and on financing. Now, the good thing is that African continent has got a demographic bulge, which is the African youth dividend. But that African youth dividend, if it's not nurtured, we're going to see an African youth curse. So G20 will be remembered for having set instruments in place that will avoid and prevent, or rather mitigate, the spiral evil of hunger, poverty, unemployment. It will be remembered for that. It is inclusive, but within the world that we're in now, the imbroglios and wars we see in the war, G20 becomes also a genesis of a new or even old multilateralism. When powers that be try to go unilateral, G20 showed that there is a possibility of establishing a new foundation. Now, here's the thing with this G20 and the importance that is taking place on the African soil. None of the treaties that we have from Bretton Woods Institutes, United Nations, all the institutions that we know and the frameworks, they were all initiated in the global north. This is the first ever occasion where the global south is no longer at the periphery. Specifically, the African continent is not at the periphery, but is at the center of everything.
As you know, the war in Sudan has been for 2 or 3 years at the moment. South Africa, for the first time in the G20 history, on the 3 years, they bring the Sudanese name for the first time along with the Ukraine and along with Gaza. I think that's symbolic because South Africa is not just talking about the global south, about African issue. It brings those issues to the table. And this an important international platform that can, when you acknowledge the issue, that you can talk about it and then you can address it and you can find a solution. And that was, for me, it was very crucial, it was very significant. I think there's a potential of business, there's a business potential in Africa. That's the people are just unfamiliar on how to reach that potential. I think South Africa on this G20 are trying to say like, if we could do it, you also can do it. And we can help you. We can be a gate for that potential. And we can help you to access that. And we can show you how to do it as well. In Africa here, like this serious issues that before no one could talk about it. I think South Africa managed to talk about. One of these issues, the mineral resources that it's been before, like to open your mouth and speak about, you should add value on those minerals. Here in Africa, that was not possible. But this time, I think South Africa was speaking about normally, like casually. Now it's time for us to address this. And I think this is also open new kind of collaboration between Africa and like the global north or the other Western countries as well. We just need to change the old dynamic and traditional way of doing business, but we still have a potential of doing to reach a new deals, a new kind of win-win or economic growth together.
I think without question this G20 will be remembered as the G20 from which the United States absented itself and then marginalised itself by having done that. So to see images, as we've seen here over the last 2 days, of the rest of the world gathering and talking about really, really important stuff, and for the United States to have chosen, for no good reason whatsoever, indeed, based on complete disinformation about what's taking place in this country, not to have had a seat at the table, has just hastened a multipolar era in which the United States can kiss goodbye to any suggestion that it is the last remaining superpower. It isn't. It abnegated its responsibility by not being here, and it's going to pay the price for that for a long time to come, long after Donald Trump has left the White House.
Jelajahi cara baru mendapatkan informasi. Download MetroTV Extend sekarang.